We have already organized my bookshelves. Now it's time to organize my entire physical TBR. In today's video, I will also talk you through every single book I own on my physical TBR, and I have a lot of books, so let's just get to the video. Hi guys, how are you all doing? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry for this weird position that I am in right now, but I broke my camera thingy, the tripod that I have been using, so I am working with what I have in today's video. And this is gonna be kind of like a 4-in-1 type of video, because yes, we will organize my entire physical TBR, and I will show you a couple of books that I hold because I need to find space for those books on my physical TBR. I will also unhaul a couple of books, and because I decided to talk you through every single book that I own, this is also gonna be kind of like a book recommendations video. Now, without any further ado, let's get into a more comfortable position for me, and let's start organizing my little, well, not so little TBR cart. Much better. Looks much better and feels much better. I hope that you guys can see everything. You can definitely see me and my little cart, which is a mess. It is, oh my god, so messy. I think it's been at least 9 months, if not 10 months, since I organized this cart, so you know, it's time to get this sorted. And here you can also see that huge pile of books that I recently hauled, and I need to find space for these books on this cart. And I also need to organize everything by genre. So let's start by removing every single book from this cart. And while I am removing the books from this cart, I also wanted to talk to you guys about a couple of things when it comes to my physical TBR. Well, you guys know that I own a lot of books on my physical TBR because I am a mood reader. I'm not somebody who will ever read her TBR to zero. It's just not practical for my lifestyle and for the way that I read, because I am such a big mood reader and I get in and out of moods. So basically, my physical TBR acts kind of like my own personal library, and I need to have every single book from all different genres on my physical TBR. So when I get in the mood, I can just grab the book and I can read it. If you are a mood reader out there, I think you understand exactly what I am talking about. All this being said though, I will make an effort this year to read a lot of books from my physical TBR, because again, I just keep saying in this video, but I own insane amount of physical books. You guys let me know if you are actually interested in seeing a vlog, my TBR takedown vlog throughout the year, because I am planning to film a couple of TBR vlogs, and let me know down below in the comment section if you are interested in watching those vlogs. Ooh. This is one of my favorite books. Crazy to see how many books I can fit on this cart. Wow, this cart was a really good investment. I have 64 books on my physical TBR. Now look guys, you know, because I mentioned this in a couple of my other videos, that while growing up, I couldn't afford books. My mom couldn't afford books, and we didn't really have really good library in my town, so I was very limited with what kinds of books I was able to read and I was able to afford. And I remember growing up, Harry Potter was the rage, and I was never able to afford those books when they came out, and I just couldn't read those books at the same time when my friends read those books, right? So now to see that I have this incredible physical TBR and to know that I have just a beautiful book collection. This is not something that I take granted. I know exactly how lucky and how fortunate I am to be able to afford these books, to be able to buy these books and read these books. I want to bring you guys a little bit closer so you can actually see the books. The first thing that I'm going to do is to categorize them by genre, and I am not going to do that on the cart. I am going to do that here on the floor. And because I read a lot of different genres, but you guys know that this is not gonna be easy, but let's just get to it. Okay guys, so here is basically what I am working with. Here I have most of my fictions, literary fiction, contemporary fiction, historical fiction, and also I put one or two thrillers and horrors into this pile. I also have a huge non-fiction pile. I mean, come on, Zsuzsi. I have here a couple of contemporary romances. You guys know that I don't really read that many contemporary romances, but I do have these three. Here I have all my classics. There I specifically have a small pile of Christmas books that I just couldn't finish in December, so I am keeping them for December 2025. Here I have the biggest stack, sci-fi and fantasy, because come on, we all know how I feel about fantasy. Oh, and I also included the romantasy books here. And there I have my current obsession, which is historical fiction and a couple of historical fiction books. So there you go. Now let's just get to putting these books on the cart. All right, I say let's start with fantasy, romantasy, and sci-fi. The very first book that I have here, actually have two books here that are sci-fi books. First is Atlantis Gene, and this is something that I hold only a couple of weeks ago. And this is a book series because it's the first book in a trilogy that discusses the origins of humanity, and this is something that I am super interested in. And then the next sci-fi book is Record of a Spaceborne Few. This is by my favorite sci-fi author Becky Chambers, and this is the last book in her Wayfarer series that I have not read yet. So I am getting to this book soon. If you guys have not read, please cooperate. Becky Chambers yet? Then you have to try her books. Her sci-fis are character driven and not plot driven. So if you are not into the sci-fi stuff or science stuff, it doesn't matter because her books are not science heavy. Next is The Whispering Dark. I am not so sure about this book. I will put this book aside. Maybe, just maybe, I will unhold this book. If you guys read this book and you think that it's worth a read, please let me know. I bought this because apparently this is a dark academia book that takes place in the fall in Boston. So, you know, I wanted to get it. I mean, I got it, but I never got to reading it in the fall. Maybe I keep it for October, November, but you guys let me know. For now, I will just put this book aside. The next book is a romantasy, Thrown in the Dark. This is the first book in the series and I'm dying to read it because people online have such a good opinion about this romantasy series, and it's purple, so I had to buy it. I have been not really feeling romantasy lately. It is one of my favorite genres, and I haven't been able to read a really good romantasy book for like months now, maybe even more like a year. So you guys let me know if you have any recommendations for me, please. Next is Tress of the Emerald Sea. Brandon Sandy goes here. This is a book that have been on my physical TBR for such a long time, and I think slowly it is time to get to it. Next is Jade City by Fonda Lee. And this is also something that I hauled only a couple of weeks ago, and I cannot wait to start this trilogy. Everybody has fantastic opinions about the Greenbone saga, so I have to read it. I have to read it. The next book is How the King of Elfheim Learned to Hate Stories, and I think that this is the only book in this Elfheim universe that I have not read yet, but I am obsessed with these characters, so I have to get to it. I have to get to it. I'll put it there right next to the romantasy book. Next is Bewitched, which was a new release last year, and I cannot wait to get to it. It does have more like autumnal vibes and not necessarily winter ones, but nonetheless, it's witches. Apparently, it's about a burnt out witch who is about to rediscover her powers and find some confidence, you know, and considering how insanely burnt out I am right now, maybe it would be a good choice to read it, you know. Next is Blood Over Bright Haven. Look at this insanely gorgeous book. It was on my 2024 TBR, but unfortunately I did not get to it, so again, soon I want to. Next is The Beauty and the Beast retelling by Taking Fisher, Bryony and Roses. I had no idea that this book existed. And considering how much I love Taking Fisher, and specifically her fantasy books, not necessarily the horror, but definitely the fantasy, and I am obsessed with Beauty and the Beast, so how is it possible that I have not read this book yet? It's insane. Next is Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, and this is gonna be probably my next Sanderson read. I am in the middle of Mistborn, but I don't like it, so I decided I will soft DNF Mistborn and then continue with Elantris. That is the plan. So I'm gonna put it here next to Tress of the Emerald Sea. Next is A Soul of Ash and Blood by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I don't know exactly which book. This is book number 5 or number 6 in the from Ash and Blood series. I actually like that series. I just cannot keep up with Jennifer L. Armentrout because that woman works so hard. She publishes 1, 2, 3 books every single year, and I just cannot keep up with it. But eventually I will get to it. And I'm pretty sure that this is the actual series and not the prequel to the series. I have 2 more books left in the fantasy romantasy pile. A Master of Jinn, which is a fantasy murder mystery taking place in Cairo, I think in the 1910s or 1920s. I have to get to this book soon, as soon as I am in kind of like a murder mystery mood. And the next one is another romantasy, Radiance. This is not a very hyped book, at least I don't think so, and now I'm just trying to buy and trying to read romantasy books that are a little bit underhyped, because I feel that the ones that are really hyped up, they can just never live up to the expectations, you know. So this is going here. All right, next let's just get the Christmassy books out of the way, because I think I can put them on the bottom shelf, because I will not pick them up soon. In 12 months, 11 months, I will pick them up. All right, the first one is Once Upon a Winter's Eve by Tessa Dare. I have no idea how I skipped this book last December, because we all know by now how I feel about Tessa Dare. I am just freaking obsessed with her books, but anyways, in 11 months, I will read it. Next is The Nutcracker, which is again definitely happening next December. And then I have two contemporary romances that are specifically Christmassy. One of them is Snowed In, and then the other one is Christmas in the Scottish Highlands. I cannot wait to read them in about, again, 11 months. And then the next book is A December to Remember. This is not a contemporary romance. This is about like three estranged sisters getting together for Christmas. At least that is my understanding. But again, this is something that is happening in December, and I am already making the announcement, guys. I am definitely doing Bookmas in 2025 as well, so stay tuned for that. All right, I think I will also put the non-fiction books here to the bottom shelf. In my mind, that works because these books are very heavy and I think that they would stabilize the cart. So that's what I'm going to do. The first book is Get Well Soon by Jennifer Ray. I cannot wait to get to this book soon. This is about all the different plagues that humanity had to deal with in history. The next book is The Butchering Art. Well, that book is not for the squeamish. It's specifically about medicine in the Victorian times. I'm just really not doing a good job here keeping the books in place. They just don't want to cooperate with me, but that's okay. Next book is This Land Is Our Land by Sukitu Mehta. I also have here The Evolution of God. This is probably one of my Mount Everests. The other one is coming up soon. And I have two books here that I am really looking forward to read, and these are very high priority as far as my non-fiction reading goes. And these are two feminist non-fictions. One of them is The Patriarch by Angela Saini. This is actually something that I already started reading. And the other one is The Once and Future, which was kind of partially a cover buy for me. I cannot wait to get to reading these books, and this is something that you will hear me say in this video a lot. And I know again that I have insane amount of books on my physical TBR, but I genuinely feel this way about every single one of them. I cannot wait to get to reading these books. So this is gonna be a crazy year. All right, I just want to get the hardbacks and the heavy books first, because these ones are thinner and these ones are paperback, so this one will need a little bit of support on the cart. The next book that I have is Sapiens, and this is my other Mount Everest. So you know what, I'm just going to put these books right next to each other. I hope that I will be able to conquer at least one of them this year. The other one is A History of the World in 12 Shipwrecks, and you guys know exactly how I feel about ships and shipwrecks, so I cannot wait to get to reading that book. And also, I have the memoir of Mariah Carey, The Meaning of Mariah Carey. This book got such a beautiful cover. I put in a request for the audiobook on Libby because Mariah Carey narrates the audiobook, and I really want to listen to it and maybe tandem read the physical book with the audio. So that is something that I cannot wait to start. And next, I have a couple of self-help books here. All About Love by Bell Hooks. I also have Inner Engineering by Shadguru. I also have The Science of Storytelling, and this book is actually very important to me because this is the last physical book that I bought in Sydney, and this book was with me on the airplane because I was planning to read this book on the airplane while moving to the US. So this book, I will never unhaul this book. I don't know when I'll get to reading it, but I will never unhaul it, okay? And the last two self-help / self-improvement books that I have on my cart or physical TBR is The Surrender Experiment. I've already started this book, and The Mountain Is You. I also already started this book. Now let me just clean this up a little bit because the books are all different height and weight, and I just want to like make this work so that the books can support each other. I still have a little bit of space here and also here, maybe for 1 or 2 books, so we'll see how this goes. I actually have 3 contemporary romance books here. Maybe I should put these with the non-fiction books. I can try. Yeah, let's see if this is something that I can make work. All right, the first book is 8 Perfect Hours. I cannot wait to read this in March because this book takes place in March. And usually it still snows in Massachusetts in March, so this will be the perfect read for me. Apparently it's about like childhood friends who get trapped in a snowstorm, and this is something that sounds good to me, so this is one of the books that I will get to soon. Next is the only Emily Henry book that I have not read yet, and that is Happy Place. This is the book that for some reason, as far as Emily Henry goes, everybody like hates, or hating is a strong word, people don't really like it, and because of that I'm just not really like hyped to read it. But funny story, oh my god, that book was so good, and it reminded me how much I love Emily Henry books and her stories, and I am really picky when it comes to contemporary romance specifically, so I will get to Happy Place eventually. And the last book that I have here, maybe I should like move the cart a little bit so you guys can actually see what I'm doing, you know what I mean, is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I have not read yet a single book by Abby Jimenez, so I think that 2025 is the year when I should do that, you know? Next, let's talk about historical romance, because currently I am freaking obsessed with this genre, and I bought so many different books already. It's insane. First, I have 2 Hungarian historical romances. I mean, this one is more like a historical fiction. Historical romances here. Unfortunately, there are no English translations for this book, and because of that I don't really talk about them, but I cannot wait to get to these books because the reviews when it comes to these 2 books, they were amazing. But I am going to put these books here in the back. And now let's talk about the English historical fictions, or books at least that are available in English. The first one is The Perks of Loving a Scoundrel. That is such a difficult word for me to say, so that's why I am reading it off the book. And this is by Jennifer McQuiston. I never read anything by Jennifer McQuiston, but if you've been around for a while, you know that I am trying to branch out when it comes to historical romances. I basically almost read everything by Tessa Dare and by Lisa Kleypas. So, you know, it is time to discover new to me authors, and in general I want to support the genre, so I am branching out. That is a Jennifer McQuiston book. And then the next one is Devil's Bride by Stephanie Lawrence, and this is an older historical fiction. I think that that one is from the 90s. The next one is A Scoundrel of Her Own by Stacey Reid. I read Duke of Mine, or My Darling Duke, yeah, by Stacey Reid, and I really like that book, so I want to read a little bit more from Stacey Reid. Next is another older generation historical romance, and that is The Bride by Julie Garwood, and this is, I think, from the 80s. Yeah, 1989. That is crazy. Next is more Scoundrels, Lord of Scoundrels by Loretta Chase, and this is a book that you guys actually recommended to me, and there was also somebody who commented on this book, and you guys said that I will absolutely adore these 2 historical romances, so thank you so much for your recommendations. And the other 2 historical romances that I have here is an Elisa Braden book, The Truth About Cats and Dukes. I cannot wait to get to this book. This is I think a second book in the series. When it comes to my historical romance reading, guys, I don't read the books in order, okay? I am always all over the place. So we will start with the second book. People tend to have a very good opinion about the second book in the series. And then last but not least, I also have Blackmore here by Julian Donaldson, because I read Edenbrook and I adored that book. So it was a no-brainer to me to get the other book of the author, you know? But sadly, I think that these are, Edenbrook and Blackmore, are the only two books that this author have published. And it just makes me so sad. So please give me more recommendations if you know this author. Maybe I should put the classics next to the historical books. What do you guys think? I think that should work. Yeah, I think it should work. First one is this beautiful Barnes & Noble special edition of Persuasion by Jane Austen. That was the very first Jane Austen book that I read in my life, but I never read it in English, and it is time to read it in English. Pride and Prejudice. All right, next is Anne of Green Gables. I cannot wait to get to this book, probably in the spring, because this book got spring vibes to me. I don't know why. Next is, which one should be by the size? I think it should be The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This is something that I bought in Scotland and I cannot wait to get to it. Next is The Picture of Dorian Gray. Same, I cannot wait to get to it. I bought it in London. And the next two books are Virginia Woolf books. These two books I actually thrifted. I found them in a little free library, and you guys know that I don't really like to take books from little free libraries. I always donate, but I usually don't take anything. But when I saw these books that are on my TBR, and I actually saw the beautiful font size in these books, when I find classics that are normal like this, I think that they are so rare. I am going to grab them and I am going to read them. So I have A Room of One's Own and Mrs. Dalloway. This is the one that I am like super excited in. All right, the last stack of books, the fiction books, literary, historical, and contemporary fiction that somehow I need to fit on this stack. I don't know how I can do it, but I will try my best, okay? The first book on this stack is The Idiot by Elif Batuman, and come on, Hungarian countryside and Harvard, you know, no-brainer. I had to pick it up and eventually I will get to it. Next is The Book of Form and Emptiness by Ruth Ozeki, and you guys know that Ruth Ozeki is one of my absolute favorite authors, so I cannot wait to read her entire backlist. But you kind of have to be in a certain mood to read Ruth Ozeki, because it's not exactly an easy reading experience. I mean, if you never read Ruth Ozeki, please try. She will absolutely blow your mind, but you have to have a little bit of patience when you read her books. Next is Sundial by Kirchner Ward, and this is actually a book that I am unhauling because I started it but I don't like it, so this is a DNF and an unhaul. The next two books that I have here are two Elif Shafak books. One is The 40 Rules of Love, and then the other one is The Architect's Apprentice. Again, if you are new here, you don't know yet, but Elif Shafak is one of my absolutely favorite authors, historical fiction authors. I adore her books and I need to read her entire backlist. Next book is The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. Oh, where to put this? Probably I will need to like start filling up the back of the shelf, but that's okay. Next is Year of Wonders by Geraldine Brooks. Oh my god, I cannot wait to get to reading that book. That cover is insane and the topic is insane. I mean, English countryside, plague, witchcraft. Come on, say less. I am buying your book. Next is Love in the Time of Serial Killers. Is it like a romance book or is it like a thriller? Oh, it's a criminally addictive romance. So So maybe I should put this with the contemporary romance books, right? But there is absolutely no way that this is going to fit here. Is it going to fit like that? Ew, it's not exactly aesthetic, but I gotta work with what I have because I am very limited with the space. It's not the end of the world. Next is a new release that I cannot wait to read, and that is There Are Rivers in the Sky by Elif Shafak. And this is such a gorgeous book. I am not going to put it back. I will probably put it here because I want to display this insanely gorgeous book. Next is Anne Boleyn. You guys know exactly how I feel about the Tudors. I need to read every single book about the Tudors, and I am specifically obsessed with Anne Boleyn. So I am reading all the books about Anne Boleyn. Next is another Ruth Ozeki, Time Code of a Face. I feel like I should put that here, like right next to the Ruth Ozeki book that I have, the Book of Form and Emptiness. Is it going to fit? I feel like I'm really pushing the system, but hey, it fits. I can make it work. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I only have 2 more books left. Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I still cannot believe that I found this book in a little free library. I mentioned this in so many other videos, so probably you guys, like, you guys had enough. Okay, Zsuzsi, we get it. You got this book for free. Congratulations. But I cannot believe it. Every time I look at this book or I hold this book, I'm like, I cannot believe it. Such a beautiful book. Probably I'm gonna put it here because, again, I want to display this gorgeous book. And then the last book that I have here, and then basically we are done, is Bless Your Heart by Lindy Ryan. This is kind of like a comedy horror from what I gathered. It's a comedy horror. Where should I put it? Where should I put it? I mean, not that I have a lot of space here. I think I will have to put this book in the back with the historical fictions, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. Look at that, guys. Now let me just reorganize it a little bit because I want to make sure that this cart is just a little bit aesthetically pleasing. So I want to rearrange the books, especially here on the fantasy shelf, based on the size. All right, guys, here it is. Here is how currently the cart looks like. I actually cannot believe that I was able to fit like 62 books because we on hold 2, right, on this cart. The first shelf is the fantasy, romantasy, and sci-fi, and Hamnet. This is the only place I was able to find for this book. So it stays there for now until I read a couple of books from this shelf. And then we have historical romance, classics, and a couple of like contemporary and historical fictions. And there we have most of my non-fictions and a couple of contemporary romance. And then here in the back, we have a couple of more historical fictions. Bless Your Heart, that really stands out there. And the Christmassy books and some Hungarian historical fictions / historical romances that I have there. Now I will use this space that I have here because it's quite a lot of space. I think I will try to use this for storage as well as decoration. So let's do that next. I think I will put this little magnetic koala that I have here. I think it's cute because the cart is so full with books. I want to spice things up a little bit with these decorations, so I hope that it will work. Next is definitely a plant. There she is. She is my little TBR cart plant. And last but not least, this little plant that was made by my mom for me. I think this is my favorite one so far that she has crocheted for me. I think that she is also going to the TBR cart, and I will replace her with my mushrooms that also my mom crocheted for me on my bookshelf. So let's just do that next. I think it works. I'm happy with this. Once I am done with this will be my first crochet project because My mom is the expert, not me. I never crocheted slash knitted anything in my life, but I want to. This will be the first one. Once I am done with this little foxy, because you guys know that I am obsessed with foxes, I think she will also go onto the cart, but first I have to crochet her. Okay guys, this is the end result. This is what I have for now. Once I started reading the books and I have more and more space, I think I will be able to add more decorations and personalize this cart even a little bit more. But I think that right now, if you look at my little reading corner, I think it looks amazing. It's nice and tidy and clean, and that's the point. The books are not on the floor anymore, so I am happy with what we've achieved in today's video. Well, this is it guys. Thank you so much for organizing my TBR cart with me. If you are interested in any of these books, just like I said, I am filming a couple of TBR, physical TBR reading vlogs throughout the year, but definitely in the upcoming months, so stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, I will leave a couple of other videos of mine on the screen, probably here and here, for you to check out. And I'll see you guys soon in an upcoming video. Bye! 65. Guys, we have 65 books on my TBR. I just forgot to unbox this one, but I know exactly which one this is. This is the newest release of Grady Hendrix. Oh my god. I cannot wait to get to reading this one. So I'm just gonna put it on my cart, and it's time for us to get to reading all these books. I just quickly want to check out the book. Oh my god. Oh wow. Very nice. Very nice. All right. Grady Hendrix, I cannot wait to read your book.